Welcome, women and esteemed guests. My name is Magrecia Hausiku, and I'm going to take you through the lecture of the role of agricultural professionals and educational institutions in accelerating women's enrollment. So it's very important to understand that agriculture is still one of Namibia's important sectors, predominantly because it's still one of the backbones of the economic systems in the country, and it is still viable when it comes to employment opportunities through its various domains. So according to the Namibian Labour Force Survey, the agricultural sector continues to employ the majority of the Namibians, predominantly by taking 23% of the workforce. So the majority of the population of the country is still dependent on the agricultural sector with regards to livelihood and social economy. Regardless of these great attributes, we can see that the agriculture does contribute quite little to the GDP, with only 4% of contribution over the past 5 years, but this does not minimize the importance of agriculture when it comes to the socio-economic aspect of people and women in the country. So here we can just appreciate a visual chart of the Namibian labor force and the various industries that we found in Namibia. And here you can appreciate that once again, agriculture takes the majority of this labor force survey. And if we have to just narrow it down to the agricultural sector as a whole, looking at gender representation in the sector over the past 7 years, we can see that there has been quite a fluctuation in the workforce of the agricultural sector. In 2016, we can also note a severe contraction of the agricultural economy within the Namibian economy. However, there is a slight improvement in 2018. But what is outstanding about this specific data is that although the women seem to empower the workforce in agriculture, you can see over the years from 2014 to 2018 that there is a gradual decline of women represented in agriculture, from 104,000 in 2014 to 80,000 in 2016 to 77,000 in 2018, which causes for concern in face of the improvement of the agricultural economy activities. Right, so this agriculture industry, like I've said earlier in the previous slide, is that in 2020, it has been recorded that the agriculture contributed 9.3% in the industry, yet women are underrepresented when it comes to accessibility of these resources. And in the workforce of agriculture by gender, once again, we can just see an underrepresentation of females in the whole agricultural and forestry sector, with male showing a slight or quite a dominance in comparison. So then what does this mean in terms of gender inequality in agriculture? We can see that the male is still dominant in the sector. And by dominance, we refer to accessibility to lucrative markets, which in contrast is not the case for women, which are dominating the agriculture sector predominantly in the subsistence and communal farming. And due to the volatility of this specific sector, we can also appreciate why there has been such a underrepresentation of women in agriculture. Subsistence and communal farming is predominantly influenced and affected by factors such as climate change, and we have seen that there has been a prolonged drought in Namibia, and this obviously would then affect the sustainability and viability of women in agriculture with regards to Vision 2030. So once again, because of these vulnerable households, which are predominantly found in the rural areas and which are predominantly seen in female households that are economically vulnerable compared to men, there is a great need for accessibility of women to these various resources to make them not only sustainable, but to empower them where they can grow in a way that is evident with regards to data and contribution to GDP. So how does the industry of agricultural professionals as well as the educational institution address these challenges? Currently, women are faced with multifactorial challenges attaining, which pertains to getting 5 domains of empowerment in agriculture. These empowerments include production, which is the sole or joint decision-making over food and crash crop farming, which is obviously something that is still a challenge due to a lot of cultural practices in Namibia. Resources, which is the ownership and access as well as decision-making power, over productive resources. Income, which is the sole or joint control over income and expenditure. Leadership, as well as time to not only ensure that they are effective in business, but that they can still run their household effectively and grow in their part-time or leisure time. Before we can address these problems or challenges we have in women, we have to understand what agriculture looks like in higher education institutions. According to a recent publication by the World Bank Public Overseers, only 2% of Africa's students specialize in agriculture, even though agriculture contributes 32% of Africa's gross domestic production. In Namibia currently, the statistics does not fall short from this statement. If we just look at this table, we can appreciate the enrollment of students into higher education learning institutions, and we can see that agriculture is one of the lowest enrollment when it comes to the various fields in the industry as well as by qualification. What is also interesting to notice with agriculture compared to the male counterpart is that the females are still underrepresented, and these females, 50% of them enrolled in the higher education institutions, enrolled in education, training and development. What this basically means is that there is still a stereotype where women think that they belong either in nursing or as teachers, and because the various employable attributes, employability after graduation plays a role in career choice, we can also see that majority of this female believe that nursing and teaching is the way forward. Once again, this is just a pie chart that illustrates the very insignificant enrollment compared to the various sectors in which all the students predominantly enrolled either in business or in education and training and development. So then what is the urgency at the moment? Agricultural transformation is key. The current status quo calls that we need to be able to fill the sector with skilled laborers and ensure efficient coordination between players and value food chain. However, the demand and opportunity that is still quite high in the system cannot be met with the current enrollment and the current representation of females in the agriculture sector. So what the role of the educational institutions are at the moment is to ensure curriculum transformation in higher educational institutions. This just ensures that we move from theoretical classroom knowledge-based students and graduates that have a different skill set, hands-on skill set, where they are able to not only be innovative in providing practical solutions to industry, but that they are not just going out there as employment seekers, but as employment creators. How can this be achieved? Simply by ensuring strong interlinkage between the industry, higher education institutions, as well as government. Through this collaborative effort and the various stakeholders that will play a role in giving information of what is important for the industry, the education system will be able to train and also ensure that these needs are inserted in the curriculum, and this would ensure that we would release students that are relevant to the industry requirements and also ensure effectiveness in quality assurance. Another thing that's very important, once again, is gender representation. And this can be achieved at policy level, also in the agricultural industry, as well as higher education, where we can make sure that we enforce deliberate action to ensure equal representation, as well as opportunities when it comes to women and agriculture. The role of the industry involves collaborative projects, research with private sectors, and memorandum of understanding. This will not only create opportunity or job employment for young, untrained or unskilled students or women, but this collaborative effort will enable skill transfer and would also influence what we refer to as research that would be impactful to industry. And this would be obviously attainable or achieved by ensuring that these private institutions create incentives through providing seeded innovative projects for ongoing research that yields regional and national benefits. These regional and national benefits, or these students that are enrolled in this program, can graduate and can still continue to work on these various topics or innovative projects. Another objective would be research outputs that addresses the needs of the industry once again, and graduating both employable and entrepreneurial students. Finally, education awareness is key. Community engagement programs is what will bring awareness of the importance and employability of agriculture in Namibia. This will also lift and dispel any stereotypes that agriculture and farming is just for men, and would create a playing field for both genders to interact and become sustainable and contribute towards the GDP of this country. Education awareness will also create women empowerment through community-supported programs, and obviously, once again, this will also just dispel them from being or believing that they are subordinates to males. Agricultural programs, once again, on multimedia, highlighting the advantages of youth and women making it in farming, is one of the initiatives that can be broadcasted nationwide to attract more women in the agricultural industry. So thank you once again for listening to this presentation. I do hope that you enjoy this week at Agri4Women's Agriculture, and that you remain inspired and take agriculture and make it sexy. Thank you.